Let's go to Pauline Hanson now, the One Nation leader, joining me live from the scenic rim in Queensland. Thanks for joining us, Pauline. Do you think it's reasonable to call Peter Dutton divisive and dangerous?
Not at all. That's the pot calling the kettle black. I couldn't believe it when I actually heard that. He needs to look in his own backyard. As I hear from a lot of people, in my own opinion, Anthony Albanese is the worst Prime Minister we have ever had. Chris, you summed it up. A lot of things. Failed in the voice, that was divisive, and it's pitted one Australian against another Australian. You have the high immigration, which has caused the housing crisis that we have. The electricity prices heading down the path of this climate change BS and the amount of money that's gone into that, destroying our farming sector, left, right and centre with the exports overseas, with the farming sector, with the transmission lines. All this is happening. So under the Labor Party, and it just continues on and on and on. And our educational system, the wokeness, gender diversity, just everything that's happening. It's disgusting. No, Peter Dutton, I back him all the way, and I hope he is the next Prime Minister of this nation.
Yeah, just while you're talking about education there, I wonder if you caught Gina Rinehart's comments I highlighted earlier in the week, where she says our schools are now teaching children to hate Australia rather than be proud of it. Do you agree with that assessment?
Yes, I do. Yes, we're not teaching our kids about the history of Australia. And a lot of these kids, even my grandson comes home and he said, we've actually got to touch the ground and acknowledge that the Aboriginals are the traditional owners of this land. And they're coming home and they're saying and I'm hearing from parents saying, the kids are coming home and saying, why did we actually murder the Aboriginal people? Why did we take the land from them? And this hatred is going on in our educational system of what we're actually, the history that we are telling them, teaching them, is not the true history. And it's divisive, Chris. I totally agree with what Gina Rinehart is saying. I'm hearing it all the time from the parents. That's why in Queensland, 229% of Queenslanders pulled their kids out of the educational system and now homeschooling them. They're sick and tired of the way the educational system's going. Yeah,
it's a hell of a problem. We got to get the facts. So, warts and all of our history, but you got to get the facts. And gee, this is a country and a society well worth being proud of. That's for sure. And it's tragic if our kids are not grasping that, and it's our fault. It's on us that we're allowing this to happen. I want to talk about economics again, and the Greens, as usual. And as we know, they have enormous power over Labor because Labor can't get anything through the Senate without them effectively. And, after the next election, if Labor hangs on to power, there's every chance they'll rely on the Greens in the lower house as well, along with the Teals, which are just a different colour of green. And yet we've got Adam Bandt running around talking about a new tax he wants to whack on the economy. Have a look.
Enough is enough. It's time to make the big corporations and billionaires pay their fair share of tax. This election, the Greens will propose a package of Robin Hood reforms. The first component is targeted at big corporations who are making excessive profits.
Yeah, Robin Hood, he famously robbed the rich to help the poor. Now, the point here, Pauline, is that we've got to get this economy up and moving, and the way to do that is to get out of the way of business, small, medium and large, let them thrive and employ people, not make it enormously harder at every step.
Correct. What they did in Queensland with that royalties tax, they increased that, so hence we're not getting the investment in Australia at all, and you've got the Japanese are pulling out of it because they don't want to invest in Australia at all. So that has a big impact. Not only the revenue will go down, taxes that are paid will go down. It's only a short-term fix, but in the long term, it's not good for us. We won't get the revenue from our resources, and then employment is affected by it. So you're going to lose employment. People do pay their taxes in Australia, but one thing that I pushed was the gas off the Northwest Shelf. We weren't taxing those internationals, getting the tax there proper tax with it. And it was only the coalition, because I pushed and pushed and pushed for it. So now we're getting $2.4 billion tax compared to our exports, but Qatar makes $26 billion. We've still got a long way to go with that. But Chris, if we don't do this in the right way, but the Greens are socialists, and what they want to do is tax those people all the time. They won't be here. They won't come to Australia. No investment will happen. No jobs will happen. And that's what we can't happen. If you want to get this country up and moving, you want people to pay their own way, and get the people off the long-term welfare employment who have been on it for 10, 20, 30 years, who think it's their God-given right to be on unemployment benefits. Why don't they start saying, listen, mate, you've got to start pulling your own weight. You've actually got to get a job and contribute to this country. You keep taxing those ones all the time at the high end of the scale, paying more and more tax, they won't be there anymore. So what a hell of a mess we're going to be in.
We sure are, Pauline. Thanks for joining us.